Okay, guys. So, anatomy of long bone. That's what we are studying. Anatomy of a long bone. The reason why we study the anatomy of long bone is because we can use this later on as a background, foundational info, when we study the development of bones. Okay, so osteogenesis, and we'll talk about that in bone physiology. So a long bone has several parts that you can divide the bone into. First of all, the long bone has ends and a shaft. The ends, both the proximal and the distal ends, this is what you refer to as epiphysis individually. If you are referring to both, plural will be epiphysis, the ends. The shaft, the middle, this is what you refer to as diaphysis. Epiphysis, diaphysis. Okay. Something else to think about right now, that on the surface of the bone, as we studied, connective tissue basically has mineralized matrix. The mineralized matrix and the osteon are not just exposed in any bone. So the body of the bone, the diaphysis, is surrounded, or rather covered, by a membrane that we refer to as periosteum. Periosteum is the surface of the bone. It's covering the entire surface of the bone. Something else to think of, that diaphysis is made of compact bone, while the epiphysis is made of spongy bone. Recall we studied compact and spongy bone. The ends of the long bone, the epiphysis, are made of spongy bone, while the diaphysis is made of compact bone. So when we cut a bone into sections, it's good to look at the intact bone, see how the epiphysis is covered with cartilage. FYI, these are called articular cartilage. It's not on your list, but it's still good to know. Articular cartilage. And we studied this cartilage, hyaline. All right. So this is a section of a long bone. You can see how the section of the long bone, there is spongy bone, and how this is compact bone. On a section, when a bone is cut into longitudinal section, you can see that the diaphysis is hollow. There is a cavity within. This cavity that I'm filling in right now, right here, which houses the blood vessels and yellow bone marrow, we refer to this cavity as medullary cavity. So here, what they are showing here is medullary cavity. So we got the section through the epiphysis. We got the mid area, diaphysis, from here to here. And we got the medullary cavity, which is a cavity within the diaphysis. The medullary cavity contains yellow bone marrow and blood vessels. Diaphysis is made of compact bone. Epiphysis are made of spongy bone. Where is the periosteum? It's the surface of the diaphysis. This is the location of the periosteum. What's the location of the endosteum? The lining of the medullary cavity. This is endosteum. It's not limited to just this, but basically this entire lining of the medullary cavity right here, what I'm tracing, all of that is endosteum. This is a real bone in section. So again, you can see right there is the epiphysis. You can add to that and you can call this proximal epiphysis and distal epiphysis. So basically this would be proximal epiphysis. This whole area is diaphysis. This is the medullary cavity, which is a space within the diaphysis. Periosteum is the membrane surrounding the bone, especially all the way from diaphysis. Periosteum, the membrane that lines the medullary cavity. This membrane is endosteum. So these are the different parts of a long bone. Now in your file, there is another slide. You can use this to level the different structures. Okay. Here, use this last slide to level different structures of the long bone as an activity. Okay, short and sweet.